Hi, everyone. My name is Ben Martin, and I'm with Rosedale Technical College. And for those of you who don't know, we're located in the beautiful city of Pittsburgh, about 6 miles west of the city. And my job at Rosedale Tech is education outreach manager. So, what myself and my team, what we do, we go out to various high schools, CTCs, which is career centers, and pretty much any kind of venue or audience that we can talk to about what we do at Rosedale. So, what do we do at Rosedale? So, we train students in different areas, one being automotive, another diesel. We do electrical, HVAC, industrial technician, and we also have a CDL program. And recently, last month, we just started a welding program. We feel it's our responsibility to go out not only in the Pittsburgh region, but really in the tri-state area and continue to expand and expose students to opportunities in the trades. And that's kind of what I want to share with you guys today is the trades and opportunities within the trades and the different industries and opportunities that exist. So that's kind of what we'll go through today. I know you guys will most likely have access to at some point, and I encourage all type of questions as well. So again, I'm going to talk to you about kind of what a trade is today, kind of where the trade industry is going in the future, and kind of just some career advice for you guys. So again, I encourage questions and, by all means, ask away. So again, what is a trade school? So a trade school is an institution that provides job-specific training. So again, I rattled off the different programs that we have at Rosedale. So let's take automotive, for example. So again, our curriculum is designed for students to be employable within the automotive industry. And so a lot of the classes are designed for that student to be successful within that industry. So with that said, the students come out with an associate's degree within 16 months. They're not going to be taking classes on Shakespeare or, under and above ground and water basket weaving. They're going to be taking classes that's going to be useful to them within the industry. So that's kind of why it's called job-specific training, training students for the job. We also try to get students a lot of industry experience, and other trade schools do the same, because it's important to have that real live work experience when you go out and potentially get a job as a graduate. So again, it's all developed and focused around career preparation within the specific industry that a student may choose. So that's kind of what a technical school kind of is, more or less. So some examples. All right, so I said automotive, diesel, electrical, HVAC, welding, but then you have a lot of other type of industries as well, like healthcare. Healthcare is a huge one right now. A lot of opportunity and growth in the healthcare industry, and a lot of trade schools offer different type of degrees within the healthcare environment as well. So again, I'm just kind of going through some of these slides. HVAC technicians, heating, ventilation, and air conditioning. That industry, according to the BLS, the Bureau of Labor Statistics, is growing faster nationally from 2008 to 2018. It's a growth of 34%. There's a lot of reasons for that. One being that about 10 years ago, there was a huge construction boom. And typically, these HVAC and heating units have a shelf life of about 10 years. At about 10 years, they need replaced, maintained, or repaired. So that's one of the reasons why there's a big large increase in the opportunities in the HVAC realm. So that's kind of sums up HVAC. So again, you have all these different options and different opportunities. Again, carpentry is a huge one that's continuing to grow now. The economy is kind of picking up again. So when the economy does well, there's obviously a lot of building that takes place. So you're going to need trained, skilled technicians such as carpenters and HVAC technicians. Another example is culinary, right? Everybody loves to eat, loves to dine on fine food and pastries. So culinary is another example of a trade. And to be job ready, you have to have job specific training that a community school or trade school would provide for you. Massage therapy, you have design, you have drafting, IT. You have animal care, right? All these cosmetologies, all these are different options within the trades. So there's a lot of different opportunities out there within the trade environment. So a little bit of history. I'm a big history buff. A little bit of history about the trades is that it really kind of started around the 1800s here in North America. And it really kind of started on the Northeast, kind of New York, Philadelphia area. I know some of you guys are in Philadelphia right now, so it kind of started in your backyard. And there was a need for these trained technicians and these skilled laborers. And so back then there really wasn't trade schools, but what there was more apprenticeship programs. And people would be, take an apprenticeship with maybe a blacksmith, and then you would kind of shadow this blacksmith or shadow this carpenter, and that's how you would get kind of on the job training, more or less. And that's kind of really kind of how it started. And then the employers saw that there was a need for these employees to be trained and more specifically trained, and they were spending a lot of their time training their employees instead of getting the work done, so it created a need for schooling. And so it really kind of grew from that demand of the laborers. Another time is right after the Civil War, right after Reconstruction period happened. So a lot of rebuilding needed to occur. So again, a lot of skilled laborers were needed. And there was kind of a shortage of men as well because of the fatalities and losses from the war. So again, they needed to train a whole new group of people to be able to fulfill the needs of the trades within our nation. So you had schools, like one of the first ones was in Manhattan, and it was a trade school for women, and it was a girls' trade school. And I know you guys will see this picture in the PowerPoint here eventually, but it just shows a bunch of girls in front of sewing machines. So that's kind of one of the first starts of a trade school was for women to learn how to sew, because there was a niche, there was a need, and these women were able to get jobs from their career training as making quilts and sewing items. Automotive schools started happening in the early 1930s, and one was in New York here, and you'll see the picture. It's just very dated, but you can kind of see that there was a need for trade schools in the early 1900s, and there's a need now more so than ever, and I'll kind of get into that in a minute. So again, after World War I, World War II, after any kind of event like that, there's building that happens. And so again, skilled laborers need to be educated to complete these tasks. So after World War II, there was a lot of funding that came into play from the federal government because they saw the need for students to be trained and trained in skilled technicians. So again, a lot of CTE, which is Career and Technical Education Centers, were funded federally. And that kind of really helped spark that growth initially. And then kind of what happens though is the mentality of society is that everyone needs to go to a four-year school. A four-year school is the only way to be successful. And kind of we've been kind of a lot of folks have kind of drinking that Kool-Aid and understand that to have financial freedom, to have a good life, prosperity, you need a four-year degree. Well, statistically, that's just not the case. And what's occurring now is a skills gap, which I'm going to get to in a minute here, which is referring to the amount of jobs that are available in comparison to the amount of employees that are skilled to have those jobs. So there's a fine and a large gap there. And that's what we feel that, our responsibility as a trade school, that's kind of one of our responsibilities is to make that skills gap much more narrow. Yeah.
Sorry to interrupt.
No, please.
Let you know, I was able to share my desktop, so
okay.
You should be able to see your PowerPoint while I'm just going through it.
Okay. Oh, okay. Okay. Great. So yeah, we're on the future slide right now. If you guys can see that one, the success. So the first one is one thing I want to talk so much about, Rosedale, what we do and promote our school. I mean, obviously that's outstanding, but I really want to talk to you guys about the future of the economy and what it's going to take for you guys to be successful in the economy once you guys graduate high school and then post-secondary school, and kind of give you guys some advice on how to go about that and what makes sense to you, because what makes sense to each individual may not work for the person sitting next to you. Okay, so keep that in mind as well. And it goes back to the core of our economy is education. And that's the foundation of our economy. And without it, we would be nothing. There would be no jobs. and no one to fill those jobs, obviously, either. So therefore, there would be no economy. It would be a collapse. So today I want to talk a little bit about the correlation between education and income, and maybe some myths that are out there, and kind of give you guys, again, some guidance. So again, a lot of people kind of correlate education to a few things. One being social mobility, another being financial security, and then, overall a better life. Big house, picket white fence, got to go to college for that, got to go to a 4-year school. Well, that's not necessarily true. Okay. Today, for example, 66% of high school graduates go on and pursue post-secondary education. However, out of that 66%, only a quarter of those students actually graduate with a bachelor's degree or higher. Only a quarter of those 66%. So what happens to those other people? Well, a lot of things happen to them. They don't finish, right? They don't finish school. They drop out. Maybe they pursue another degree or maybe another option. So what happens typically, and this is a big warning to you guys, again, I'm going to be coming on my soapbox a little bit today with you guys, but one of the issues is that students, they want a 4-year degree because that's what they've been told since they were 5 years old, that that's the key to success. So a student pursues that option and figures out, halfway into it, or, a quarter into it, this isn't for me, this isn't working out. Well, that's fine, and they can choose to drop out of school and pursue other options. However, typically a lot of those students are on the hook for maybe a loan that they took out. So some type of financial responsibility tied to their education that now they have no return on their investment because they have no degree. So they really have nothing to show for it but debt. And that's a problem not only for that student, but it's a problem for society as a whole, right? And that's probably another day's PowerPoint, but just kind of get you guys to understand that, 66% of the students choose to go on, only a quarter of them finish a bachelor's degree. Okay, so keep that in mind. So I know most of you guys have probably heard of the term white collar professional jobs and then blue collar jobs as well. So white collar being more professional, blue collar being more rugged and more of a trade kind of environment type of job. However, there's another one that's kind of been created, and it's referred to as a gray collar job. So again, I go back to the skills gap, which again I'm going to get to in a second here. But so the gray collar jobs refer to a lot of jobs that are given or received by graduates of college, of 4-year programs. Okay, so they're educated, however, they cannot get a job within the major or the area that they studied at their during their 4-year program. Okay, so for example, let's say somebody had a degree in psychology. Okay, they graduate from, we're in Pennsylvania, we'll go with Penn State. So say they graduate from Penn State. Say, for some reason that person cannot find an opportunity in their field, then they do not have the job that they have been trained to do, educationally speaking. So they take maybe a lower educated or the lower job that doesn't require as much education as a 4-year degree or the psychology major that person pursued. So it's called a gray collar job, using their education. Right? They still have a job, which is great, but they're really not using their degree for their job. And that's what's really kind of the new thing that's kind of been happening over the past few years, is a lot of graduates, from not just Penn State specifically, but many universities out there in colleges, is the students don't have the jobs for the education that they've received. And that's a problem, because again, education is an investment, and you always want to have a return on any investment that you make. And so if education, that is definitely an investment in both your time and money, and you hope to have a return, and a return is a job in that industry. So, I want you guys to keep that in mind too, is when you're looking for a job, or looking for, what career do I want to study, what do I want to pursue, understand that you're making an investment, and that you would hopefully like to profit and have a return on that investment, and that investment is a job. So do something that you like to do, that you're good at, you're skilled at, but also that there's a job market for as well. So just kind of keep that in mind. Again, I know you guys can probably see this now. So this little image here of the skills gap, which I love. It's like a little third grader drew, but it's so true. So on the right hand side, the guy with the crown, right? He's kind of more or less the employer, right? And he needs skills. He needs an employee to do a task. And on the far left side is somebody who wants a job, right? But for some reason doesn't have the trained and necessary skills to satisfy the needs of the employer on the right, wearing that fancy crown. So what happens is a lot of people fall in the pit of despair in the center, right? And so again, what I feel our responsibility at Rosedale is to lessen that gap, lessen that skills gap. We work with over 600 employers out there, and they are looking for trained technicians in any of the fields that we provide, programs for. So that's what we kind of do. We provide that person on the far left here, that image with the question mark above his head, the training, the skills to kind of meet that employer's needs. And again, that will not be considered a gray collar job, because we're matching qualified students with a qualified job for that student. You guys have heard of Mike Rowe. If you guys haven't, he's the guy who hosts Dirty Jobs, and he's a real big component of the skills gap. Is real, it's live, and it's affecting our nation's economy, and we have to address it. And he says, you guys can see at the bottom of it, it says, if we want to close the skills gap, we have to change how we think. We have to change our mentality. So that's something that I kind of challenge all of you today is, and maybe some of you guys have already, is change your mentality. We're not necessarily a nation full of college, mentality or college bound mentality. It's more let's focus on post-secondary mentality. So that means any trade, right? Any trade school, community school, really focus on educating our students to be able to be employable, to be able to match them with a job, to kind of, again, get rid of this pit of despair that is between employers and, employees. So again, check Mike Rowe out. He's got some really good stuff on YouTube. Talks about the skills gap. I know he's going to Congress and whatnot, some other things. So check him out. He has a lot of great stuff to say about it. Kind of getting some more of the numbers. So kind of give you guys a perspective. In 1960, 13% of all high school students pursued college, a 4-year degree or more. 13%. So if you're in a room, of 100 people, 13 of those high school students went on to college and went on to other education. However, now you look at 2015, that idea of college is the answer, 4-year school is the answer, that's kind of shows in the statistic, because 66% of the high school graduates today are now going on to pursue that type of degree, a 4-year degree or more. So if you look at the job market in 1960, only 20% of the jobs available required a 4-year degree or higher. 20%, which was pretty good for the 13% that were going on, because that's a 7% difference. So that meant that there were jobs out there for them. However, you look at 2015, right now, 33% of the jobs out there require a 4-year degree or more. However, we have 66% of our population going in pursuing those 33% of the jobs. So the numbers just don't add up. So you're going to have a lot of unemployment. You're going to have the great collar jobs, and people not getting a return on their investment, and that investment being their education. So with that in mind, I want you guys to think of a ratio. And the ratio, it's 1:2 to 7. All right. And if you guys haven't heard of it, it's a great ratio. And no matter how large or small the economy becomes, the ratio never changes or alters. So the 1 in this ratio, meaning that somebody having a higher education than a 4-year degree, 4 years or more, like a doctor, something along those lines, lawyer, something along those lines maybe. And then 2 is somebody with a 4-year degree, a bachelor's degree, Okay. And then 7 is a skilled worker. Okay. So no matter how the economy looks, how big, small it is, you're going to have 1 out of 7 job opportunities that's going to require a doctorate or additional schooling from a 4-year school, and 2 with a 4-year degree, and then 7 as more of a as a trained, skilled technician, which is opportunities through trade schools and community schools and whatnot. So, with that ratio in mind, we really have to consider our notion of, college. Not that it's not for everybody, but it might not be the best option for everybody. It might not be the best way to get the things that you want in life, whether it be financially or any type of freedom you want. So again, we're kind of stuck in the college for all mentality, but we kind of need to switch and say maybe post-secondary education for all, because that 7 out of the 1 to 7 ratio, that's 7 is the largest number. So that is really what the majority of the population should be going to pursue to fulfill the needs of the economy, to have a healthy economy. So, with that in mind, this is kind of follow with me here. I know this is a little tricky to understand, but I'm going to try to do it as simply as possible. So the average electrician, according to the BLS, makes an average of $51,000 a year. All right. And I know high school students, it's hard to $51,000 sounds like a ton of money, and it is a ton of money. And the high end, the top electricians out there make $86,000. Okay. So the average person with a business 4-year degree, the average makes 52,000, and the top producers make an average of 105. Okay. So looking at that, you would say, well, okay, I'm going to go to business. I'm going to get a business degree because I'm going to make more money. Well, that's not necessarily true. Okay. So if you look at the average electrician, right, 51, and you look at the high, which is 86. Well, say you were a student in high school and you want to be an electrician, and you think you have the desire, right? You potentially have the skills, and you need to go to post-secondary education and get some more training, and have an associate's degree in electrical technology to help your career to get to that 86 a year, which is the top high performers for electricians. So say that's you, right? Well, there could be another person, right, next to you who is, I'm going to go do a business degree. And, it's just kind of because of what I've been told to do. I really don't know what I want to do. I'm just going to do it because that's kind of, business, right? It's a safe move. Okay. I could do a lot of different things with it, somebody might say. Well, on average, that's 52 grand a year. Okay. So if you want to be an electrician and you want to be the best electrician out there, you're going to make $86,000. But if you're going to go into business because, you don't know what else to do, well, you're going to be stuck at 52. So there on paper, what looks better, right? So again, it's more so for the individual as well. So again, keep that in mind. So the national average, okay, for associate degree, all right, and these associate degrees are typically 2 years or sometimes under 2 years as well. So typically, it's going to an average is $27,000 to $86,000 a year. Okay, a bachelor's degree on average is higher. It's $34,000 to $97,000 a year. Okay, and this is from the BLS. But another interesting statistic along those lines of those numbers is that 25% of bachelor degrees make less than $34,000 a year. Okay, so even though on average a bachelor's 4-year program makes more, however, 25% of them make less than 34. And for associate degree programs, like programs that Rosedale offers, 25% of those make higher than $68,000 a year. So again, statistics are very interesting, but you got to take them for kind of what they're worth as well, and know that there's kind of both sides to it. So I guess kind of really my point with this is that students who take associate degrees, like whether it be, in the trades, there's a lot of potential out there. And a lot of times there's more potential out there than a 4-year degree. Okay. So it's just really interesting statistics. So I know this slide, I know this is going live to all of Pennsylvania, but I know this is kind of more of a job outlook for Pittsburgh. I mentioned healthcare earlier. Healthcare is going to be is huge and is continuing to grow as the population grows and ages. The need for folks in the healthcare industry is continuing to grow, and this is a wonderful trade to get into. And there's so many different options within the industry. So this year it accounts for about 21% of the city's employees, and this is probably pretty true if you look at maybe Harrisburg or Philadelphia or Scranton or some of the other cities across Pittsburgh as well. I'm pretty sure it's pretty norm. Technical jobs is 17%, a big move now in tech industries, and that involves the trades as well. Like I know you guys all know Facebook and probably are on it right now as you're listening to me. But that's a tech firm, right? You need people to understand how to operate computers, programs, and a lot of those wrapped around the IT environment can be gained from an associate degree program, a 2-year program. Arts is obviously important, 14%. Hospitality and management make up about 23%, and then others, unskilled, about 25%. So healthcare and the technical and the trades industries really make up a lot of the pie. Okay, so there are a ton of opportunities out there. Another statistic to throw at you guys: 2 out of the 3 occupations projected to grow the fastest between 2012 and 2022 require some type of post-secondary education. So, I hope you guys are getting that as a point that I'm trying to get across today, that education is important, whether you choose to do an associate degree or a bachelor's degree. Both are good options, but right now there's a lot of options wrapped around the trades and the associate degree programs. Okay, and again, healthcare, man, it's knocking it out of the park. 7 out of the 10 healthcare jobs also require at least an associate's degree as well. So keep that in mind. Some average wages. I know these are always kind of interesting to throw at high school folks. With post-secondary education, the average is about 57 and change, and with only a high school diploma, it's 27. So there's about, you guys can do math, right? It's about $30,000 difference. So again, education is key. Whether you want to, turn a wrench and be a diesel technician, or you want to be a lawyer, you need the education. So I definitely want to make that a point. But again, to be the greatest top performer, electrician, diesel technician, whatever, you need education. You need schools like Rosedale that are out there to help provide students with the training, the skills that the employers need. This is kind of good too. Over nationally, the job outlook is pretty good. They're predicting 10.8 job growth over the next eight years, and in Pittsburgh alone, 18,000. And again, the major industries that are growing nationally are healthcare and carpentry. So again, both in the trades, both need to be need education to support their careers and to support what they're going to do as well. So another, Pittsburgh, is a big tech city right now. And again, I know I talked about Facebook a second ago, but there's a huge need right now for folks with IT skills. And again, these are developed through trade schools. And currently, in Pittsburgh, there's over 10,000 tech firms. Makes up, a third of our payroll in our region. And it accounts for $20.7 billion in payroll, which is huge. I also see the trades kind of going in different directions as well. And they're trying to be forward thinking as well. As more computers get involved in, our society, we have to keep up with that, as long with going green and green trends. The trades are well aware of that and supporting that as well. For example, in our diesel program, we train students to work on, anything that runs on diesel. It could be, a big CDL truck. It could be a backhoe, skid loader, forklift, tractor, you name it. If it runs on diesel, our students are working on it. But, there's a lot of negativity out there about diesel because, when a big truck goes down the road, smoke goes up in the air. Well, that smoke actually is cleaner than a gasoline engine because that smoke that you see actually goes down and actually gravity takes it down to the ground, and gasoline engines, that the fumes actually go up in the air, and it's worse for the ozone and that whatnot. So actually, diesel is cleaner, believe it or not. And they're also trying to even improve it even more with diesel engines. And two ways they're trying to do that is biofuel, and another option called CNG, compressed natural gas. So compressed natural gas, what it is, it's gas and oil is really big in this area right now, the Marcellus Shale, extracting the natural gas, and they can actually take that gas and put it into a diesel engine and make the diesel engine function. So it's cleaner, it's cheaper, depends on the market, but it's another green type of option, and especially because it's a fuel source that's here, it's local, so we're supporting jobs here as well. So again, CNG, you can see it on stickers. Waste management, a lot of the waste kind of companies, they're running their vehicles on them as well, and they actually have a toggle switch. They can literally toggle in their dashboard from CNG to diesel fuel. So they can run on compressed natural gas as long as they can, and then when they run out, flip it to diesel, and then the diesel tank kind of chimes in and it kind of fills the gap as well. The other option is biofuel, and biofuel is really amazing stuff. And what it is, it's taking an oil. It could be peanut oil, it could be vegetable oil, it could be oil from Wendy's that they take out of the fryer. And what they do, they add some chemicals, some potassium and whatnot, and then they actually heat it up in a hopper, filter it, and there's a process involved in it, and the product is a clean biofuel that you can literally dump into a diesel engine and it'll run off of it. And that's a course that actually our diesel students take at Rosedale. So again, there's a lot of green opportunities within the trades. Another green opportunity I'm just thinking is within our electrical field is solar power, right? And a lot, as that becomes more cost effective, it's going to become more and more popular as the price kind of goes down, the technology improves, it'll be more available, and the market will kind of bear it a little bit better. But that's another great option. So again, I think something you guys need to consider is the green side of things and the opportunities within them as well. But I always caution everybody, like, again, solar power, wind power, they're great, they're awesome, but right now they're sometimes they're not as profitable or easily marketed to the public to benefit from. But again, as the technology improves, that market will see an increase in that. So keep that in mind as you guys are thinking as well. Yeah.
Say that especially traveling on the turnpike the last few weeks, just going through Somerset.
Sure.
You see the windmills, and as you go further and further on, you see the solar panels.
Yes.
Which very different statistics about how much actual power and fuel they can create.
Right.
But I think the toughest thing for a company is the startup cost.
Mm-hmm.
Whenever you are trying to pay for and install solar panels to harness that energy. So it's more difficult for somebody just starting out or a small
mm-hmm.
business
Mm-hmm.
build those types of resources.
Yes.
It's cheaper to use traditional resources, but in the long run, if you can afford the
mm-hmm.
investment up front, you're going to make money and come up ahead.
Right. It'll pay off. That's correct. Yeah. And you mentioned a good point. I mean, you see that in solar, you see that in wind. I see it in other areas too. Like I mentioned, at Rosedale, we train HVAC technicians, and one of the things they do there is they it's called geothermal heating, and you get your heat source from water way down deep in the water, right, or in the ground rather, and it's a very expensive unit to put out. I mean, you're talking tens of thousands of dollars for somebody to install in their house, and it takes a longer time to get that return. So like you mentioned, if companies can be patient, have the ability to make that initial investment, they can get the return. It just takes a little bit of time. Another example is it's really cool. They do under tile floors, they have water running through it, through plastic piping and tubing that creates heat. And people actually install this in their driveways, garages, and whatnot. And it's water that's heated from the boiler. So there's a huge initial cost and investment to have these tubes, installed under your tile in your garage and your driveway. It takes about 7 years to get your money back. But after that, you're actually kind of making money because it's much more effective than the conventional ways. So yeah, it's an interesting point. And
plus the wear and tear from
that's right.
Salt and traveling, especially parking lot for a business.
That's right.
Trucks coming in, and those are resources which cost them money and in the long run damaging the property as well.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. So, again, I think obviously technology is going to keep improving. I love solar. I think it's a really interesting topic. I like to watch the market and some of these companies and what they're doing and how they're advancing. I know China's making really great strides in that area. So the world is really getting exposed to it because I think it is the future. It's just going to take a little bit of time to get out there. What's nice is out there as well is, if you're a business or, homeowner or whatnot, there's a lot of, not a lot, but sometimes there's government funded or government rebates and opportunities out there to participate in buying these type of products, and the government kind of maybe gives you a tax reduction or something along those lines for purchasing them, which is kind of neat as well. Because just because they're not profitable doesn't mean they're not going to be profitable in the future. It doesn't mean we shouldn't invest in them now. That's kind of the whole idea is looking forward thinking. So yeah, you bring up a really good point with that.
And we're discussing, and I will let you go back and wrap up.
Yeah,
I'm kind of condensing some questions you had here.
Sure.
While we're discussing, good time to bring them up. First one, we talked about different types of job opportunities that are available, whether it be 4-year college, bachelor's degree, associate's degree at technical school, or just join the workforce after high school. And with our parents and grandparents' generation, it was very easy, especially where our offices are located in Midland, steel town.
Right.
We would have students that would graduate college or high school, get a job at the mill, get a very good living for themselves, go and buy a car, have a family, a house, and have the American dream.
That's right.
There out of high school.
That's right.
And as technology has improved, as time goes on, that really isn't the case anymore. It's some kind of training or some kind of skill base to make yourself valuable to an employer. And I think today we're seeing even more of an evolution with the advances in technology. A lot of those jobs that were available 10, 15 years ago are becoming obsolete. We do not need as many people to do them.
That's right.
As you did in the past. A lot of the careers you mentioned, nursing or electricians, things like that, we're always going to need those types of people. But
that's right.
So what would you say are you went over Pittsburgh with the biggest gaps are and where we need jobs still most are. But what if we have the students looking for long term that would like to start their own business or be their own boss, their own employer? I'm thinking of a couple people in general that have their own businesses. They're electricians or heating, air conditioning.
Right.
Somebody that's looking to start out, get experience, and maybe own their own business someday. Where would you say the most need or the best potential is?
Yeah. So, well, to answer your question, I think any one of the trades is a good opportunity to start a business. Starting a business isn't for everybody, right? You have to kind of have that kind of in you, that kind of personality, the really be able to drive, understand rejection, and still persevere. So it's not for everybody. That's somebody who would consider any one of the trades, the trades would be a good opportunity to start a business in, if that's a good fit for you. And I mean, HVAC, like I said, it's the fastest growing national trade out there. That would be an ideal company to start, right? Like you mentioned, electrical company. Again, there's low cost involved. in that. But then again, you can be, an auto technician or a diesel technician, start out in a garage the size of this room and continue to grow, right? I mean, the term Rome wasn't built in a day. Well, neither are these big companies, right? You got to start small, keep working your way up, get more trucks, get more space, get more area, more resources, and continue to grow. Now, with that said, again, you have to have the right personality, I believe, to be successful, but you also have to have the right training. And one of the things that I see working in the education industry and talking with employers on a daily basis that hire our students is that there's another gap, and it's called the soft skills gap. And what that refers to is students coming out of high school right now. A lot of the employers don't feel that they have the necessary soft skills and to be employable. And you need those soft skills to start a business as well. The soft skills meaning customer relations, how to manage customers, right? How to interact socially, okay? How to create a professional looking email, how to not do smiley face, wink face, LOL, more the again, that's referring to the soft skills that some students are lacking that the employers see. So that's something that we design our curriculum, our programs based on what our employers' needs are, right? Because if we're not satisfying them, then our students have nowhere to go to work. So we've kind of really incorporated a lot of those soft skills within our programs. So our students, out of the 16-month associate program, they're going to take small business management. They're going to take customer relations, shop management. They're going to take a computer class. They're going to take a math class. Resume and interviewing techniques is a class we teach. So again, it's teaching students the soft skills. Yeah, they can turn a wrench better than anybody, but can they make that into a business? And they need these soft skills to kind of connect that together.
Very true. That's something I hadn't really thought of.
Yeah.
That's something that I think we do a better job of focusing on in high school too, rather than just focusing on that core curriculum. We have a career explorations course.
Sure.
Our students take as part of their graduation program. But I know we talked about it a little bit when I was in college, mock interviewing and present yourself. But the skills are one part of the equation. You have to have the personal skills and be able to relate with people in order to get through that interview process. Because if you don't have those skills to begin with, they're not letting you in the door to get your job in the first place.
That's exactly right.
Your actual skill set is useless.
Right. That's exactly right. And I mean, this might be another topic for another day, but that's something that I know you guys do here at Peace Harbor. I think other schools and institutions are starting to do more of that because they're realizing that we're, instead of teaching to tests, maybe we can kind of maybe get away from that a little bit, and incorporate some of these soft skills, that you don't take a test on soft skills, right? There's no test that a high school student takes on how to give a proper handshake. That's just not done. So it's refreshing. It's good to see that that's kind of being brought back into the high school realm again.
I kind of went over to the videos to actually see your face, so I'll go ahead and put your PowerPoint back up.
Okay.
I want to wrap up, and then we can answer more questions.
Okay. Okay. Which one are you on? Considering trade school?
Yep.
Okay. The one with not the pictures, but the words. You skip that one. So yeah. So hopefully, I let you guys kind of understand some of the opportunities within trade schools and understand that you can't have a picket fence, you can't have financial freedom, you can't have those things through associate degrees. You don't have to have those You can't only get those through a 4-year degree. Okay. So when you're considering a trade school, there's a lot of things to look at. Okay. And that's kind of what I want to talk about now. Is number one, start preparing now, right? Do your research, visit websites, visit schools, go see as many schools as you can. And then, understand do they have the needs that you need? Okay. Is it a good match for you? Is it a good fit? Because there's always a better school out there for you. Okay. And so you just need to do as best research as you can to understand if that's what school will be a good fit for you. So again, visit as many schools as you can. I think that's one thing I really would like for you guys to take away from this. Some good questions to ask schools when you're looking at them, or deciding if you want to go there, talking to admissions rep or financial aid representatives. Ask about their placement percentages. And that means, okay, so when a student graduates, say, 3-6 months from then, do they have a job in the industry they studied? Remember, that goes back to that gray collar job I mentioned before. So Rosedale, for example, we started an HVAC program a few years ago. Since we started the program, 100% of our students have found employment within the HVAC industry within 3 months of graduating. 100%. Our diesel is in the high 90s%. So, the jobs are definitely out there. But it's a good question to ask schools is, the program that I'm specifically wanting to study, what's the placement rates, right? Some of the 4-year degrees like marketing or communications, they're a dime a dozen, and those candidates are a dime a dozen. So their placement percentage and the ratios may not look that great because of that. So keep that in mind. Placement percentage is very important. Again, that goes back to the return on your investment. Okay. Facilities, right? Look at the facilities, look at their equipment, look at their shops. Is it up to date? Does it meet industry standards? What kind of relationships do they have with employers? Ask about their input. How is their curriculum developed? How's their program developed? How often do they change it? Do they alter it? Because all those things are kind of important to consider. And services, what kind of services do they provide? Okay. Will they help you find a job? At Rosedale, we have a career services department, and they help our students find employment within the industry that they studied, not only after they graduate, but even while they're going to school as well. Ask about tuition, fees, money, bring all that up. It's really important. Obviously, scholarships, I know you guys are obviously looking for those as well. They're out there. They're definitely out there. So I know we're kind of wrapping up on time here. So, we've got about, 10 minutes left. So, any questions or whatnot, I'll be happy to answer. If you have any questions for me, maybe you think of down the road, you can always go to our website, rosedaletech.org. Our number's on there. You can get in touch with me that way. Again, my name's Ben, and, here to help anybody. So, by all means, ask away.
I think we kind of got to most of the questions that we had before that we were accumulating, but one I did want to touch on. So looking like 10 years into the future,
sure,
in the Pittsburgh area and around the country,
mm-hmm.
What do you think this demand will be for jobs? And
yeah,
to kind of piggyback off of that,
mm-hmm.
What do you think the most profitable trades will be?
Mm-hmm.
The most profitable careers?
Yeah, sure. Both really good questions. And I wish I knew 100% the answers to that, but I'll take a stab at it. So, and I think probably the one industry probably answers both of those questions, and it's healthcare. I see healthcare really expanding. I mean, all the statistics support that. Again, the population's getting older. People are living longer. Medicine's getting better. So, you're going to continue to need to care for people, as they get older, because, typically they might have perished, but now they're still alive, and we still have to take care of them as a society. And, it's kind of our responsibility. So, again, healthcare is going to grow extremely immensely over the next 10 years. I think any type of green related industry has a lot of potential for growth. And as far as bang for your buck, I think the green type of jobs and industries could be really home runs, especially once they become profitable and once they become kind of easily accessible. They're going to be home runs. I mean, you look at going back to, Henry Ford. If you asked Henry Ford, he says, if I would have done or gave the people what they wanted, they would have wanted faster horses, but I gave them a car. So again, I think kind of the green industry and trades is kind of shares that kind of mentality. Like, let's look forward, let's keep offering more and try things, even though it may not be profitable now, but maybe 10 years from now, solar, wind, maybe that's a home run, and another area is obviously IT, computers. That's only going to keep growing and growing. And we're putting more satellites up in the air, and that is going to be a real issue for us to try to, as a nation, to try to staff those jobs. It goes back to that skills gap. There's a huge gap for IT right now, and I only see that really growing in the future. So healthcare, kind of green type of industries, and then IT. And then in more so lines with Rosedale too, the auto, diesel, the transportation is always going to be there too. You have to look at things that we can't outsource, right? You can't take your car, put it on a boat, send it to China, and have them fix it and have it back for you by the end of your lunch break, and your oil's changed and done and go on your road. It's not feasible. So look at the jobs that we can't outsource, and the transportation industry is one of those that we just can't outsource ever. So yeah.
I was actually speaking to a family yesterday that I worked with for 7 years. Their oldest son graduated a little over a year ago, and he went to school to be a diesel mechanic. And he's in his second year.
Mm-hmm.
And they're getting him on job training, or they're getting paid while they're in school.
Right.
And he already has potential employers lined up, and he still has almost a year of school left to go.
Yeah, it's very typical. I mean, a lot of our diesel students, they have multiple job opportunities and offers before they graduate. Again, we do a lot of mock interviews, bring employers in. Our career service department does a great job with that. And a lot of times they're offered jobs right there. It's great to see for us because we get to see actually employers competing over our students right in front of our eyes. It's great. It's a great industry to get into. Great industry. And, historically, automotive has always been our bread and butter. It's been our largest program. And over the last 2 years now, diesel has surpassed automotive. And I don't see that changing relatively soon, especially with the Marcellus gas industry. Because of Marcellus shale industry, there's just a huge need for diesel technicians. You got the equipment, you got the generators, you got the trucks, all that stuff all needs repaired and maintained and fixed. And the only person who can do that is a diesel technician. So a lot of opportunities for women too in the diesel industry. The employers love the women in the industry. We kind of sometimes say that women make better technicians than men because they're much more detail oriented. So we see a lot of women are very successful within the trades.
I'd like to make one comment.
Sure.
If you don't mind.
Sure,
And
please.
You can either correct me or elaborate.
Yes, please.
But we were looking at starting salaries, whether it be a 4-year degree or an associate's degree, a degree.
Right.
They're similar, close, depending on what field you go into.
Sure.
And where they max out, there's a little bit of a gap. But I think either way, if you choose to go into diesel technology, medicine, or a traditional college, a 4-year school,
right.
It's not like you finish that 2 years or 4 years of education and you're done. It's fine for some people, and go on and max out at those salaries and make a good living themselves.
Sure.
But either way, a 2-year school or a 4-year school, you continue to learn and build on that education, and the sky's kind of the limit. There's no telling you where that will lead you or how far you go from.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely right. I mean, again, it goes back to I mentioned on one of the slides, it's the core of our economy is our education system. That's the core. That is, and we have to create a great feeder system, and that's one thing I commend what you guys do here, because you guys are creating that a different opportunity for students, and the more options that we have for our students to become educated, not only at the secondary level but the post-secondary level, the better our economy is going to be. I mean, if you look at it, versus other nations, we're behind. It's not a secret. We're behind in our education system. That's not a secret at all. So what's going to be our challenge is to create awareness, right? Awareness that these associate degree programs can provide you with the white picket fence and the great opportunity. And four-year programs can do the same as well, but they both can, and the key is education. No matter what type of education you choose after high school, do something, because statistically it's going to pay off for you in the end. Statistically it will. So yeah, I mean, education, man, it's the center of, it's the core. It's the core of our economy. And it's great that we have people that realize that and want to invest in that as well.
And it never stops.
It's
professions
right.
As teachers, or if you're actually working in the field, never stop learning. There are always workshops to improve, or you do follow-up trainings.
That's right.
We won't finish our education and say we're done with school.
Right. Right.
Especially in today's society, we have to be lifelong learners. Otherwise, society will just pass us by.
You're right. I mean, just look at technology and computers. You have to be up on them. You have to be able to adapt. You have to be able to learn new technologies, or so the guy next to you or woman next to you will learn them and run right by it. So it's a really good point. Continued learning. I mean, that's a really big factor.
Thank you very much for joining us. I know we're running out of time.
Yeah, you're welcome.
So, again, we appreciate you coming in today. I do have your contact information. And
great.
We'll share the video and your slides with our students and the students that weren't able to join us today. And thanks again. Hope to have you back sometime soon.
Yes, definitely. Thank you. I appreciate it. Thanks, guys.